Hello, lovelies, and welcome back to the Ages of Chaos for the Fluff and Hammer. Oh, it's very exciting at the moment, isn't it? It's very exciting. Just had basically the release of 10th edition, Warhammer 40,000 10th edition. I still can't get over that. I still cannot get over that. I came in 2nd edition. Oh, when everything was made of lead. Yeah, it was a long, long time ago. Paint pots were very strange back then. You had to sort of peel away a sealing layer of plastic, and then whenever you popped it open, it was airtight, so it would splatter all over you. Or all over your parents' carpet, which was the most common occurrence. Warhammer 40,000's 10th edition, a massive sea change for the entire game system, and a very welcome one. I've got to say, it's been refined massively to make it a bit more accessible, but the biggest thing, and I mean the biggest thing, is that most of the armies are more or less completely playable from the off. We've had the free rules, the indices, which give you the baseline of how the armies play. There's obviously going to be refinements and a few changes between now and when the codices, the actual army books, are released, but that's absolutely fine. It gives time for feedback to occur so that changes can take place, balance issues can be ironed out, but most armies are completely playable, and this is the most complete they've been at launch ever. It was often the case that you would get these get-you-by index army lists in the back of rule books, or released as separate rule books like in 8th, and they were very bare bones, and I mean very, very, very bare bones. There was very little in the way of army-wide special rules or special rules for units or anything like that. They were very bare bones. These are not. These are basically the complete army lists with all the special rules inherent, because the special rules largely are now on the cards. They are on the data entries for each of the units, which is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. It takes a lot of the problems and a lot of the effort out. You don't need to go looking around your codex for things like, oh, well, this miniature has this relic and this warlord trait, and it can use these stratagems, and it has these psychic powers. Don't need to do it anymore. It's all there on the cards. So much better. For the purposes of this series, we're going to be looking at the indices for each of the Chaos armies, obviously, in Warhammer 40,000 10th edition. Let's start at the core of it, shall we? Let's go for the baseline Chaos Space Marines. This is the army list that deals with largely the undivided legions, and of course things like the Red Corsairs, the Agents of Bile, and for the time being the Emperor's Children, although we've already got rumblings that they're going to be coming in 10th ed. Pun absolutely intended. Let's hope so, eh? They are the last of the cult legions to be released, and the last of the big bad cult Primarchs as well. Fulgrim, one of my absolute favourites, who's absolutely beautiful, by the way. If you look at the artwork of him, if we get a miniature that matches the other demon Primarchs in quality, that's probably going to be my favourite, if I'm perfectly honest. At the moment, it's Magnus. Love Magnus to bits. I like them all. Mortarion, Angron, they're all great, but Magnus is my favourite. Anywho, let's get on to it. We looked at the army rules in the last video, but we'll just go over them again. So, Chaos Space Marines get one over-wide army rule, which is the Dark Pacts rule. This is really, really cool, I've got to say. It's very strong. I'd say, as the army-wide rules go, this is one of the strongest in the indices. So, basically, you can take any unit from your army, as long as your faction is Heretic Astartes, i.e. Chaos Space Marines. And you can say that before it shoots or fights, it's going to make a Dark Pact. So basically, if it does that, it gains either one of the special rules for the purposes of those attacks. So it gets either lethal hits or sustained hits. Lethal hits wound automatically when they're a critical, so usually a 6+, although there are ways of enhancing that so that it's a 5+. Sustained hits means that critical hits give you one extra hit on top of all the others you make. When the Dark Pact is resolved, then you have to take a leadership test for any unit that made one, and if it's failed, they suffer die 3 mortal wounds. Yeah, it's fine. Not only is it fine, it's very characterful. I like that. There is a certain diciness when making pacts with demons and things. It's got a sort of role-playing element to it that I really, really like. But by and large, that is absolutely fantastic. Most of the units in the Chaos Space Marine army list in the index are really nasty anyway, in close combat in particular, and some of them have very, very nasty shooting attacks. Things like Obliterators, for example, things like Havocs are very nasty at range. So the ability to do this is wonderful, to make their firing attacks even nastier. It's very, very good. There's also a little box called the Lost and the Damned, which basically, it's the old thing where you can include units of Khorne Berserkers, Rubric Marines, and Plague Marines as troops in a Chaos Space Marine. Or rather, there aren't troops and elites anymore, but you can include them in your army if you want. That's very, very cool. They also have a bespoke detachment in their index, like all the others, which is Slaves to Darkness, a reference to the old ROC books, obviously. And this is, it gives you the marks of chaos. So what you can do at the beginning, when you are putting your army together, you can give most of the unit, any unit that isn't an epic hero, so that's not a unique character, you can give them a mark of chaos. You can give them the keyword Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, Slaanesh, or Undivided, and they all do different things. So Khorne has Blood Fury. In the fight phase, if this unit's weapons gain the lethal hits ability, this phase as the result of a Dark Pact, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, an unmodified hit roll of 5+ scores a critical hit. So it just means you're going to be getting more in the way of those automatic wounds. It's very powerful on certain units. Possessed, it's very good. Warp Talons and Raptors, it's very, very, very good. It even means, because you're wounding automatically, with enough attacks, a Khorne unit can take down like really big monsters and vehicles. That's very, very nice indeed. Tzeentch, it's Warp Fire. In the shooting phase, if this unit's weapons gain the lethal hits ability, this phase is the result of a Dark Pact. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, an unmodified hit roll of 5+ scores a critical hit. So it's the same as Khorne, but for shooting attacks. It means that every time you get a lethal hit, like i.e. a 6, then you score an extra hit. Again, on long-range units like Havocs, Obliterators, etc. But even things like Legionnaires, it's very, very, very strong indeed. Nurgle, Spreading Sickness. In the shooting phase, if this unit's weapons gain the Sustained Hits 1 ability, this phase is the result of a Dark Pact. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, an unmodified hit roll of 5+ scores a critical hit. So it's similar to the Tzeentch one, but rather than getting the lethal hits, you get sustained hits. So for every 6 at long range, you gain an extra hit, which again, it can make all the difference. It can be a really, really, really powerful attack. That I like it. For Slaanesh, it's Excessive Cruelty. In the fight phase, if this unit's weapons gain the Sustained Hits ability, this phase as the result of a Dark Pact, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, an unmodified hit roll of 5+ scores a critical hit. So in close combat, you're going to be scoring extra hits every time you roll a 6. Again, very, very powerful on Possessed, who have loads of attacks, on Terminators, who have loads of attacks, on Warp Talons and Raptors. Very, very, very nasty. Chaos Undivided, Glory to Chaos. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. Basic, universally applicable, but it's a reroll, which are a bit rarer in 10th. It's very, very nice. And the only restrictions are you can't use the Khorne keyword for a Psyker, obviously, because Khorne dislikes wizards and Psykers and whatnot. A character unit with a leader ability can only be attached to a bodyguard unit if both those units share the same keywords. So you can't have that horrible thing that you had at the beginning of 3rd Ed, when you could literally have characters with the mark of Nurgle leading Khorne Berserkers, or characters with the mark of Slaanesh leading Rubric Marines, and so on and so forth. As with the other indices, there are 6 stratagems, unlike the umpteen million from before, which is really, really nice. And apparently this is the way it's going to stay. There are going to be 6 stratagems, and that's it for each detachment. So I imagine when the codices come out, what you're going to get, and this is how I hope they do it. I really hope they do it this way. So for the Chaos Space Marines, for example, rather than having detachments for each of the legions, like your Black Legion detachment, your Word Bearers detachment, what I hope they have are universal detachments that are redolent of the different legions, so you can tailor them how you want. That's what I sincerely hope. But let's see how it goes, eh? In this one, the Slaves to Darkness, you gain Infernal Rites, which is a battle tactics stratagem. With gruesome offerings and ritualized promises, the Chaos Space Marines seek the protection of their infernal masters. It's in your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. It can be one Heretic Astartes unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. And its effect, until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, worsen the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. Can be really useful depending on who's targeting you. It means that it can make all the difference, and it's quite, in 10th ed, it's particularly effective. You really do want those armor saves, you know? It's expensive, it's 2 command points, which can be... Command points are very hard to come by in 10th ed, but it's still very, very good. Profane Zeal, battle tactics stratagem. Fervent mortal followers flock to the champions of chaos, damning their souls, seeking promises of dark power. You use it in the shooting phase or the fight phase. It can be any Heretic Astartes unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase. And what it does, until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1 and reroll a wound roll of 1. If your unit is a Chaos Undivided unit, you can instead reroll the hit roll, and you can reroll the wound roll for the attack. Now that's very good. Again, rerolls are a bit rarer this time round, so that's very good actually. Actually, looking at that, that's very good. Especially if you're using undivided units. That can make the difference between making a key combat defunct or absolutely essential. That's really good. Eternal Hate. It is a strategic ploy stratagem. Heretic Astartes are fueled by hate, a searing spite that burns fiercely within them unto the very moment of death. Even as their life force pours from terrible wounds, this loathing can drive them to fight on in a second wind of wrath. Those Heretic Astartes enthralled to the Blood God feel this enmity to an even greater extent than others, exploding with violence just as the enemy think they have finally ended them. This happens in the fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. Its target is one Heretic Astartes unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of the attacking enemy's units. And what it does, until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit is destroyed, if that model has not fought this phase, roll 1 dice 6, adding 1 to the result if it is a Khorne unit. On a 4+, do not remove it from play. That destroyed model can fight after the attacking model's unit has finished making its attacks, and is then removed from play. Very good. It's good psychologically, that one, actually, because it makes your opponent less likely or more reluctant to engage your units in assault, especially if they have the Mark of Khorne, because they're gonna be fighting back even if they're destroyed. So quite good. There are also these stratagems which are that have a kind of they're tailored to certain marks of chaos, which is kind of nice. So the Skin Shift, which is an epic deed stratagem. When the Dark Guards and the powers of the warp on their side, Chaos Space Marines can cheat death altogether. Their foes look on in horror as killing wounds knit themselves together in a cacophony of hideous cracks and squelches and shattered armor reforms. After such a blessing, the Heretic Astartes are both something far greater and far less than what they once were. So this happens in the command phase, to one Heretic Astartes unit from your army, so it can be anything. The effect, one model in your unit regains up to 3 lost wounds. In addition, if your unit is a Zeech unit, below its starting strength, one destroyed model, excluding character models, is returned to your unit with its full wounds remaining. Pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. You can use it on characters to gain wounds back, so Zeech Demon, like Demon Princes or Abaddon, it's very good on Abaddon. Or you can replenish units that have had models removed. It's pretty damn good, actually. Very, very nice indeed. I've seen this used in a battle report on Abaddon and the unit he joins, and it's very, very good indeed. Dark Obscuration, Slaves to Darkness, Strategic Ploy Stratagem. Choking fogs, echoing with the screams of tortured souls, dense clouds of bloated flies, deluges of bloody rain, whirlwinds of coruscating flames, blazing in 1,000 hues. Such warp-born phenomena can appear on the battlefield in an instant and disappear just as quickly. All serve to obscure the Heretic Astartes from their terrified foes. This happens in your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. The target is one Heretic Astartes unit from your army that was selected as the target of any shooting attacks. And the effect is, until the end of the phase, your unit has the stealth ability. So they gain the benefits of cover, even though they're not in cover. Or they get enhanced cover if they are. In addition, if your unit is a Nurgle unit, until the end of the phase, your unit can only be selected as the target of a ranged attack if the attacking model is within 12 inches. So, again, very good. Bearing in mind, Abaddon has all the marks of chaos automatically and grants them to any unit he is with. So him and his unit can take advantage of not only the effects of the marks, but also all of these stratagems. It's very good. Plonk him in a unit of Terminators and boy, that is a hideous, brilliant unit. Last stratagem is Unnatural Swiftness. This is a strategic ploy stratagem. Some Heretic Astartes appear to move with a speed that should be impossible. Weapons and bodies seemingly moving from one place to another in the blink of an eye. This happens in the movement phase, any Heretic Astartes unit, and the effect is, until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. In addition, if your unit is a Slaanesh unit, until the end of the turn, your unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced. So it's a very clever way of setting up traps, effectively. Getting in close, firing, falling back, etc. It's very, very nice indeed. It's one that requires a bit more manoeuvring and thought to use, but it can be very nasty. We've got enhancements as well. One for each of the marks of chaos, plus a couple. I think there's also one undivided one. We've got the classic, the Talisman of Burning Blood. This talisman constantly drips with thick, bubbling gore. The air around it is so heavy with the charnel stench of the slaughterhouse that it imbues the bearer's limbs with supernatural ferocity and strength, a welcome boon to those eager to claim the worthiest skulls for Khorne. So it's a Khorne model only. Add one to the attacks and strengths characteristic of the bearer's melee weapons. Each time the bearer's unit makes a Dark Pact until the end of the phase, add die 3 to the attacks and strength characteristic of the bearer's melee weapons instead. Nice. So it makes your character a meat grinder. It's very good on Demon Princes, for example. Very nice on Demon Princes. For Slaanesh, there's another classic, the Intoxicating Elixir. This dispenser is filled with a self-replenishing liquid that is pumped into the bearer's bloodstream by the pint. Some say the liquid, which grants those that partake of it unholy physical power, is a nectar distilled from Slaanesh's own pleasure gardens, for while it heightens the bearer's abilities, foes caught in its soporific fumes are paralysed with terror and ecstasy. The bearer has the Feel No Pain 5+ ability, which is really, really good. Each time the bearer shoots or fights, if the bearer's unit made a Dark Pact this phase, after the bearer has resolved those attacks, select one enemy unit that was hit by one or more of those attacks. That enemy unit must take a Battle Shock test. Oh, it can force Battle Shock as well, which in 10th Ed is a big deal. It's a very, very big deal. That's good. That's really good. Eye of Tzeentch. The Eye of Tzeentch is a relic that has been exposed to wild psychic energies for 10 millennia. Champions who stare into the artifact's unblinking depths can glean the secrets of the warp. Heretic Astartes Tzeentch model only. Each time the bearer's unit makes a Dark Pact, take a leadership test for the bearer. If that test is passed, you gain 1 command point. Really damn good. Really damn good. I think most undivided armies are probably going to be taking this because, again, command points are hard to come by, hard to replenish, and the more you can get, the better. It just makes things better for the entire army. That's a very good quality of life upgrade, that one. For Nurgle, we have the Orbs of Unlife. Within these glassy spheres lurks a diluted Life Eater virus. Although quick to burn out when the sphere is broken, everything nearby not touched by Nurgle's bountiful blessings, flesh, armour and bone, finds itself consumed by the ravaging viral strain. Heretic Astartes Nurgle model only. At the end of the fight phase, roll 1d6 for every enemy unit within 6 inches of the bearer, adding 1 to the result if the bearer's unit made a Dark Pact that phase. On a 4+, that enemy unit suffers die 3 mortal wounds. It's good. It's fine. It's a way of getting more mortal wounds out there. which can make all the difference between winning a combat and not winning a combat. So yeah, don't think it's as good as some of the others, though. Certainly the other upgrades are a bit better than that. They have wider application, certainly the Eye of Zeech. Liber Hereticus for Undivided. This cursed tome contains forbidden lore said to have been absorbed while the artifact consumed the minds of those who risked reading it. One with the strength to tame it can use it to empower their rituals. Each time the bearer's unit makes a Dark Pact, the unit's weapons gain the lethal hits and sustained hits 1 ability until the end of the phase, instead of just gaining one of those abilities. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But I do believe there are units that have auras that let you do that as well in the actual army list. So let's take a look at some of the data sheets. We won't go through all of them, just some of the ones that catch my eye. Abaddon is first here. And what I like what they've done with Abaddon is they've toned him down a bit from Ninth Ed, because in Ninth Ed he could go toe-to-toe with Guilliman and just wipe him out. And that shouldn't really be happening. I mean, Abaddon is the Arch-Messiah of Chaos, but he's not a Primarch, yeah? He's not a Primarch. He's still a mortal. And so they've toned him down a little bit in terms of his one-on-one power. But... and this is a big but, he's still a monster. He's still going to be taking down, he could still take down knights on his own in close combat. He's a really nasty piece of work. Talon of Horus is his ranged weapon. It's got that bolter on the back. It has sustained hits 1 already. Attacks 4, ballistic skill 2+, strength 5, damage 2. It's very, very nice. And in terms of his melee weapons, he can either do 8 attacks with Drachnien, which is the big demon sword that has devastating wounds, by the way. So already, before you make any Dark Pacts, if you roll a 6, a critical, with these attacks, then they wound automatic. It's a mortal wound, which is really, really nice. So wounds automatically and no saves of any kind. Very, very nice. And that is weapon skill 2+, strength 14. So he's going to be taking on really big models with this. Armor piercing -4 and damage 3. Very, very nasty. With the Talon of Horus, which also has devastating wounds, by the way. 14 attacks, strength 7, armor piercing -3, damage 1. Very nasty. But the big thing, the really big thing with Abaddon is that, like all of the really big characters, he has an ability called the War Master, which means he can select from 3 different abilities, which are aura abilities that affect everyone around him. So you've got Paragon of Hatred. While a friendly Heretic Astartes unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, you can re-roll the hit roll. Very nice. Just makes them killier in close combat. Mark of Chaos Ascendant. That's an aura. While a friendly Heretic Astartes infantry or Heretic Astartes mounted unit is within 6 inches of this model, models in that unit have a 4+ invulnerable save. So bloody hell, he's effectively extending protection, infernal protection, to units who are nearby. It's very nice. And Lord of the Traitor Legions. While a friendly Heretic Astartes unit is within 6 inches of this model, you can re-roll leadership and battle shock tests taken for that unit. Again, battle shock and leadership are big deals in 10th Ed, so that is lovely. He also has a Dark Destiny special rule. Each time this model makes a Dark Pact and does not fail the resulting leadership test, roll 1d6. On a 2+, you gain a command point. So once again, an ability to gain command points. Very, very nice. He can join either Chaos Terminator squads or legionaries rather. And as mentioned before, he gives them automatically, any unit he joins gains the Khorne, Slaanesh, Nurgle, and Zeech keywords. So they gain the abilities of those marks, and also the ability to use the mark-specific stratagems, which is really, really damn good. Got Harkon World Claimer. He's pretty good too. I'm not going to go through everything here, but Harkon's good. Again, it looks like what they've really tried to do here is make every special character specific, give them really particular abilities that benefit the army across the board, rather than just being like, various different stripes of killie. He can join Raptors. My only problem here with Harkon is not a problem with Harkon. I don't really understand why there isn't a Chaos Lord with wings or a jump pack. It doesn't make any sense. I know they're not making models for that anymore, but they're not making models for the Imperial equivalent either, and they've got a list entry. So maybe when the Codex hits, eh? Huron Blackheart's had a massive upgrade, and I mean massive. He's not as killy as some of the other characters, but he does have great special rules. So the Tyrant of Badab, while this model is leading a unit, add 1 to the objective control characteristic of models in that unit. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That means that him and his unit are going to be taking away objectives from the enemy, which is great. The big one, though, is Red Corsairs. After both players have deployed their armies, you can select up to 3 Heretic Astartes infantry units from your army and redeploy them. When doing so, those units can be placed into strategic reserves, regardless of how many units are already in strategic reserves. So he allows you to sort of run rings around your opponent. It's after setup, it's after both players have deployed their army. So if you're not in a good position with some of your units, doesn't matter. Redeploy them. Redeploy them or put them into strategic reserves. That's very powerful. That is very, very powerful indeed. Got the old Demon Prince, who's had a massive upglow. You're probably going to be taking the Demon Prince on foot, bizarrely. Simply because he has aura abilities that are so good. Dark Blessing, while a friendly Heretic Astartes infantry unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time a ranged attack is allocated to a model in that unit, that model has the benefit of cover against that attack. Brilliant. Ascended Demon. Each time this model shoots or fights while resolving those attacks, you can reroll 1 hit roll and you can reroll 1 wound roll. They are badass. Heretic Astartes Demon Prince is on foot, and this is before you even get into their weapons, their demonic allegiance abilities. They are bad. There's also the winged version, which is kind of interesting. It is different from the one on foot. So it has a rule called Demonic Destruction. Each time this model ends a charge move, select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of it and roll 1d6 for each of this model's remaining wounds. For each 4+, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound to a maximum of 6. It's okay. It's pretty good. It means that you're doing mortal wounds before you're even into combat, really. But the big one is Flying Horror. Each time this model ends a normal or advanced move, select 1 enemy unit it moved over during that move. That unit must take a battle shock test. Pretty damn good. If you're anything that forces battle shock tests is excellent insofar as I'm concerned. So Fabius Bile, my favourite, well, one of my many, many favourites, but certainly my favourite character in this index, in the Chaos Space Marine army list. He's not a slouch in combat. He's pretty good, but he's not as killy as the others because he's not meant to be. He has Feel No Pain 5+, which is rather nice. He can enhance warriors under his command. So the units that he's attached to, you add 1 to the strength characteristic of melee weapons equipped by bodyguard models and 1 to the toughness characteristic, which is really rather nice. Also, he's very difficult to kill. Every time he's killed, you can use the Chirurgeon, the artifact on his back, to stand him back up on a roll of 2+, which is rather tasty. Cypher's here, who's also really interesting. He has this very weird ability. So each time an enemy unit is selected to shoot, if 1 or more of those attacks target a friendly Heretic Astartes unit within 3 inches of this model, after that enemy unit has finished making its attacks, this model can shoot as if it were your shooting phase. But when doing so, it must target only that enemy unit. So it's a way of discouraging the enemy from using its shooting attacks, which actually is pretty good. It's pretty good. The Master of Possession. This guy's always been brilliant. Ever since he was released, this guy has been brilliant. He's got a whole suite of anti-psycho weapons, including psychic powers that are really, really nasty. But he also has a psychic ability called Demonkin. While this model is leading a unit, add 1 to advance and charge rolls made for that unit, and models in that unit have the Feel No Pain 6+ ability. Really, really good. You're going to want him with units of Possessed or something like that. He's got a lot of synergy with units like Possessed. Very, very lovely indeed. Who else have we got? You got your standard Chaos Lord. He's very nice. Could do with a few more options, but he's nice. The one in Terminator armor is, again, very, very good. I like the way they've given them all abilities that make them different. So you're going to want to maybe include more than 1 in your army. Your standard Chaos Sorcerer. He's got damage dealing capabilities, as well as some of the more the boon-like abilities from the previous army list, but they're all on his datasheet now. So he has Prescience, which is lovely. While this model is leading a unit, each time an attack targets that unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. And he has Gift of Chaos. Each time this model is selected to shoot or fight, after resolving its attack, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks that had the psychic ability. That unit must take a leadership test. If that test is failed, that unit suffers die 3 mortal wounds. It's niche, but it can be pretty good, especially against certain armies. The Terminator Sorcerer has some really good abilities. He has a Warp Time. While this model is leading a unit, you can re-roll advance and charge rolls made for that unit. And he also has Death Hex, which is not the same as before, because Death Hex was ridiculous in the last codex. It turned off invulnerable saves. This time round, at the start of your shooting phase, one Psyker with this ability can use it. If it does, select one enemy unit within 12 inches invisible to that Psyker and roll 1d6. On a 1, that Psyker's unit suffers die 3 mortal wounds. On a 2+, until the start of your next movement phase, each time an attack targets that enemy unit, improve the armor penetration characteristics of that attack by 1. So it's dangerous because it can cause mortal wounds to your Psyker, but improving the armor penetration against particular units is pretty good. It's pretty damn good. Put him in a Terminator unit, right? And that's very nice. You've got your Lucius here, who's just an assassin. He's a character killer. The Lord Discordant. Now, the Lord Discordant is interesting. In the last book, he was pretty ubiquitous. He was absolutely brilliant, and he's still good. Don't get me wrong. He's still a solid unit, especially if you're going for certain themed lists, or if you're fighting against enemies that have lots of vehicles or things like that, but he's not the be-all and end-all that he was in the last codex. They clearly wanted some of the other characters to get a look in here, so they've toned him down a little bit. He's still a monster, don't get me wrong, he's still a really nasty piece of work. The Warp Smith, with his lovely shiny new model, he's nice, as well as all of his weapon options, which are many, by the way. He has lots of special rules. Warp Smith, while this model is within 3 inches of one or more friendly Heretic Astartes vehicle units, this model has the lone operative unit, so he can't be targeted, even though he's an independent unit. Master of Mechanisms, in your command phase, select one friendly Heretic Astartes vehicle model within 3 inches of this model. That vehicle regains up to die 3 lost wounds, and until the start of your next command phase, each time that vehicle makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. It's very nice. And he also has Enrage Machine Spirits. At the end of your movement phase, select one enemy vehicle unit within 12 inches of this model. That unit must take a Battle Shock test. Now, it's very nice. Very, very nice indeed. You got your old Exalted Champion, who's a unit multiplier. That's his whole purpose. Dark Champion, while this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. And Aspire to Glory. Each time this model's unit makes a Dark Pact, until the end of the phase, add die 3 to the strength characteristics of weapons equipped by this model. It's alright. It's not bad at all. One of my favourites, the Dark Apostle. Now, this guy was absolutely ubiquitous in the last codex. He doesn't have, like, the amount of prayers that he had in the last codex, but that may change when the codex comes out. Let's see. But he's got a lot going for him. He's a lovely character in and of himself. He's got a lot of stuff. But he also has a number of core abilities, which are really nice. Dark Zealotry. While this unit is leading a unit and contains a Dark Apostle model, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the wound roll. He has Demagogue. Once per battle, at the start of any phase, you can select one friendly Heretic Astartes unit that is battle-shocked and within 9 inches of this unit's Dark Apostle model. That unit is no longer battle-shocked. So that can be very, very good. It can mean the difference between keeping an objective and not keeping an objective, so excellent. Malign Sacrifice. At the start of the fight phase, if this unit contains one or more Dark Disciple models, you can select one of those models and one enemy unit within engagement range of this unit. Then roll 1d6. Excuse me. On a 2 to 5, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. On a 6, that enemy unit suffers die 3 mortal wounds. That Dark Disciple model is then destroyed. So he can send his little underlings off as, like, if you'll pardon the phrase, as little, like, Chaos Suicide Bombers. They go off and explode and deal mortal wounds to enemy units. That's pretty good. I like that. I like that a lot. You've got your Dark Commune, who are beautiful, by the way. They give you a whole host of upgrades and benefits for the cultists in your army. You've got your Legionnaires. We discussed these in the last video about the Chaos Space Marines, but your basic Chaos Space Marine Legionaries now are incredible. They are absolutely incredible. They've got loads of options and abilities, very upgradable, very versatile, loads of attacks with most of their weaponry, more so than their Imperial counterparts, which is really nice. And they also have certain very nice special rules. So they have Veterans of the Long War. Each time a model in this unit targets an enemy unit with a melee attack, re-roll a wound roll of 1. If that enemy unit is within range of an objective marker, you can re-roll the wound roll itself instead. They also have a chaos icon, so each time the bearer's unit takes a leadership test for the Dark Pact's ability, you can re-roll it. You are very unlikely to fail a Dark Pact for these guys. They're just solid. They are, as a troop choice, they are absolutely solid, very versatile, very nasty. You factor in things like the Marks of Chaos as well, and the benefits provided by characters, and yeah, your basic Chaos Legionaries are some of the nastier units in your army, gotta say. What else have we got? Cultists! Yeah, we love cultists. They are the chaff, you know? They're pretty crap at everything, but it doesn't matter because that's what they're meant to be. They are the most pathetic mortals imaginable, but in big blobs, they can hold objectives quite nicely, or they can make a very, very nasty distraction for your enemy. So yeah, very nice indeed. One of their special rules for the Dark Gods, at the end of your command phase, if this unit is within range of an objective marker you control, that objective marker remains under your control even if you have no models within range of it, or until your opponent controls it at the start or end of any turn. So it's sticky objectives, effectively. They're objective takers, and they can be pretty good at it. They're going to die pretty quickly in combat with almost anything, but they are pretty nice. You've also got your accursed cultists, who are actually really nasty this time round. They've got like nasty close combat attacks. I mean, the models are amazing. They always gain Feel No Pain 6+, and they gain a special rule called Accursed Horde. At the start of each player's command phase, you can return either 1 destroyed Torment model or up to 3 destroyed mutants, so they keep coming. These mutants keep coming. One of the things I've always wanted in a Chaos Space Marine army list, which has always been in the background but very rarely represented, are mutants. And now we've got them, and they are really, really good. So very pleased about that. Chaos Terminators. This, I tell you what, 10th is the addition of Terminators. They really want Terminators back on top, and boy, they really are now. Chaos Terminators are the tits. They are absolutely incredible. They've got a glow up to toughness 5. They've got a 4+ invulnerable save. They've got their Dark Pacts. They've got loads of weapon options, and also one of the quality of life upgrades now. All of their close combat weapons, apart from Chain Fists and Power Fists, are accursed weapons, so they've got a unified stat line now. Yay! And also, all of their combi weapons now are also a unified stat list that have anti-infantry 4+ and devastating wounds and rapid fire. So very, very nice indeed. They also gain their own bespoke special rule. Despoilers. Each time this unit makes a Dark Pact until the end of the phase, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, you can re-roll the hit roll. They are nasty. They are great Terminators. Like all of the Terminators we've seen thus far in almost all of the armies. You know, your Death Guard, Putrid Blight Lords, your Thousand Sun Scarab Occults. They're just wonderful. Really, really cool. Very good bodyguards for characters as well. Got Master of Executions here, who's pretty good. He's a way of not only of killing enemy characters, but of gaining command points, so very nice. Possessed. Woof. Possessed are amazing in this army list. They were good in 9th, they're even better now. Move 9 inches, toughness 6, 3 wounds each. They gain a 5+ invulnerable save, they've got a 3+ armor save, and their hideous mutations, 4 attacks, they're hitting on 3+, strength 5, armor piercing 1, damage 2. They are nasty. This is before you factor in any marks of chaos or anything. They are really, really unpleasant. They have a special rule, Chaos Unholy Bloodshed. Each time this unit makes a Dark Pact, which you're going to be doing, until the end of the phase, weapons equipped by models in this unit have devastating wounds, so they're also doing mortals on a 6. Bloody hell. Yeah, wow. Possessed might, I'm looking at Terminators and I'm thinking, oh god, why not take both? Just take both. You're not limited anymore by like how many elites you can take or anything. Take them both. Bloody hell, why not? Make them a bodyguard for a Master of Possession and you've got a really nasty unit there. You've got your Chosen here, who have always in previous editions suffered against Terminators or Possessed. Here, they've definitely got a place. They've definitely got a role to play. Their combi weapons are very, very good. They're very good in close combat. They've got high wounds, high toughness. They're pretty durable. And they put out the damage, Chosen Marauders. This unit is eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced or fell back. Very, very nice. So they're very tactical as well. They're more like the thinking person's elite option, if you like. Very nice indeed. I like them. I like them a lot. Noise Marines, of course. Noise Marines are very good. They were very good in 9th. They're very good here as well, as you'd expect. All of their sonic weapons are absolutely lethal now. Your Blastmaster fires at single frequency and varied frequency, which has 2 very nasty stats indeed. Sonic Blasters have had a glow up. They're strength 5 now, and they fire more shots. They also have an ability called a Riotous Cacophony. In your shooting phase, after this unit has shot, select one enemy unit that was hit by one or more of those attacks. That unit must take a battle shock test. Wow. So if you've got a Slanesh army and all of that shooting is putting out battle shock tests, that's good. That's really, really good. Nice. Venom Crawlers, the spidery demon engines, they're pretty ubiquitous, to be honest. They are great. They're really good. Very strong stat line, very fast, nice firepower, good in close combat. And they've got this special rule. It's actually really nasty. Soul Eater. At the end of any phase, if one or more attacks made by this model, that phase destroyed one or more enemy units. Until the end of the battle, add 1 to the attacks characteristic of this model's weapons. Until the end of the battle, and it just says this model's weapons, not close combat weapons, so the Excruciator cannons get extra attacks as well. So as long as they keep killing units, which they can pretty easily, their attacks power goes up. That's pretty bloody cool, I've got to say. They're one of the best demon engines, I've got to say. Bikes, your Chaos Bikes, they're really good. What can I say? They don't have as many whiz-bang tricks as some of the other units, but they are really, really solid, reliable units. You've got a special rule that's really good, outmaneuver. At the end of your opponent's turn, if this unit is wholly within 6 inches of one or more battlefield edges and not within engagement range of one or more enemy units, you can remove it from the battlefield and place it into strategic reserves. Very good. It means that they're making hit-and-run attacks, right? If they're in danger, they can leave via a board edge and then come back later on when your opponent isn't expecting it. They're nice. They're really, really nice. The model is old now. The model is really bloody old. The model is from 3rd Ed, I think. Long, long time ago. They could do with a bit of an upgrade. Raptors. Raptors were a little bit like the red-headed stepchild last edition. They weren't that great. This time, they're very nice, as you might expect. Very, very strong in close combat. Really strong in close combat. Loads of attacks. Absolutely loads of attacks. Fast. They can arrive by deep strike because they fly. But the big thing with these guys, they have special rules that induce battle shock. So they've got fearsome. While an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this unit, each time that enemy unit takes a battle shock or leadership test, subtract 1 from the result. And terrifying assault. At the start of the fight phase, each enemy unit within engagement range of one or more units with this ability must take a battle shock test at -1. They're pretty nasty. Being able to induce battle shock like that is really useful. They're just a solid unit. Everything feels like it has a place now. You've got the Warp Talons, obviously, they're demonic equivalents, and these guys have the hideous Warp Claws, which are twin-linked lightning claws, effectively. 4 attacks, hitting on a 3+, strength 5, armor piercing 2, damage 1, and they have a very unusual ability, Warp Flames. Each time an enemy unit within engagement range of this unit is selected to fall back, if that enemy unit is not battle-shocked, your opponent must take desperate escape tests for each model in that unit before any are moved. If that enemy unit is battle-shocked until the end of the phase, each time a desperate escape test is taken for a model in that unit, subtract 1 from the result. Desperate escape tests are really nasty. They can result in units basically disappearing from the battlefield, so that can be really unpleasant. In conjunction with their natural siblings, the raptors, and their ability to affect leadership, it's nasty. It's really nasty. Havocs, they're brilliant. You all know they're brilliant. They've got lovely, lovely, lovely models. They're going to do the business, especially in conjunction with certain marks of chaos, certain characters to guide them. Yeah, they're bloody good. They're bloody good. Obliterators. Now, there was a time when you would have taken the Havocs over the Obliterators every time. Not so much now. For one thing, you don't have to do that. They're not constrained by the heavy support section anymore. You can take as many Obliterators as you fucking like, really. And they are really wonderful. All of their guns, their flesh metal guns, have had a massive glow up. They have a lovely ability, Warp Rift Firepower. Once per battle, when this unit makes a Dark Pact, it can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, ranged weapons models in this unit are equipped with have the Indirect Fire ability, which means they can target units they can't see at -1 ballistic skill. It's really, really good. If you want to get a key unit or do wounds to a key unit, got your Land Raider, and as we all know, the Land Raiders have had a massive glow up. They're very, very nice indeed. Yeah, Predators, yeah, they are what they are. They're fine. They're actually really solid choices. Not exciting, but they're good. Vindicator, again, not exciting, but good. Defiler has a lot more going for it this time round, especially because of its Scuttling Walker ability, which enables it to walk over friendly monster and vehicle units as if they weren't there. So it's not going to be blocked by anything. It's pretty damn good. It's pretty damn good. Your Forge Fiend. What I like about what they've done with the Demon Engines, particularly the Forge Fiends and Mauler Fiends, is even though they occur in several different armies, they're all different. They all have different special rules. So the one in the Thousand Suns, the one in the the one in the Thousand Suns, and the one in the World Eaters both have different special rules from this one in the Heretic Astartes index. So this one has Demonic Ordnance. Each time this model is selected to shoot, it can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, its ranged weapons have the devastating wounds and hazardous abilities. So you're gaining mortal wounds for a risk, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. It's chaos. Hell Brutes. Oh my god. Now, you remember what I said about the Demon Engines that appear in various different armies and how they're all different? That goes to the power of N for Hell Brutes. No longer do you have like this one-size-fits-all thing. They do have the same stats and the same weapon options. However, they have not only the army-wide special rules, but their own particular special rules that make them force multipliers for the army in which they occur. So the Heretic Astartes Hellbrute has Dark Ascension. While a friendly Heretic Astartes unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time that unit makes a Dark Pact until the end of the phase, its weapons gain both abilities conferred by the Pact, so both sustained hits and lethal hits. They're kind of force multipliers. They're really good. You are going to want to take these guys, not only for their really good ranged weapons and combat ability, but also because they act as force multipliers for the rest of the army. It's excellent. You've got your Helldrake. I think it looks good. It looks better than it has been for quite a while, it has to be said. The jury's out. As of yet, I haven't seen how they play yet, but they look good. Got your Mauler Fiend, again, has its own bespoke special rule, as well as being a close combat beast that's going to be taking down like at least small knights on its own. It's got its own special rules, Siege Crawler. You can re-roll advance and charge rolls made for this model, and you can ignore any or all modifiers to its move characteristic and to advance and charge rolls made for it. So it's not going to be impeded. It's a really solid, dependable unit that's going to be basically hunting enemy vehicles. That's what it's for. You've got your Rhinos, Spawn. Chaos Spawn are brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. They've got a great stat line, multiple wounds, loads of attacks with high strength weapons, feel no pain 5+, and regenerating monstrosities. At the start of each player's command phase, one model in this unit regains up to die 3 lost wounds. They keep regenerating. They are nasty. They are really, really nasty. Khorne Lord of Skulls, it's a big, bad demon engine. It's really unpleasant. It's very expensive for what it does, but boy, it's going to dominate any battlefield on which it occurs. The Noctilith Crown is really interesting. It's got its own peculiar ranged weapons, which are really, really good, but it also has very unusual special rules, which make it one of the best terrain pieces I've seen, actually. Malevolent Locust Aura. While a friendly Heretic Astartes model is wholly within 9 inches of this fortification, that model has a 4+ invulnerable save. Really bloody good. Malign Cover. Each time a ranged attack is allocated to a model, if that model is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit because of this fortification, that model has the benefit of cover against that attack. So what you do, you place this in front of something like Predators, right, that are partially in cover behind it, so they can use their weapons, they can shoot, but they gain the benefit of cover when they're shot at. It's really good. It's a really, really cool tactical piece of work. We've got Vashtor, the Archifane, who's fine. He's okay. They still haven't found a place for him. That's for damn sure. He's clearly not meant to be part of this army. I think he's going to be part of a new... what are they called? The Heretic Mechanicus, the Dark Mechanicus. That's what he's going to be part of. It's what he's designed to be part of. He doesn't really have a place in this army. He's fine. He's a big, nasty, bad demon, but he doesn't really belong here. Let's be honest. Some of the more interesting units for me are those that are coming over from other game systems. Traitor Guardsman Squad. How long have people been asking for this? How long have people been wanting Traitor Guardsmen in a Chaos Space Marine army? You've got them. You've got them. They've got a great range of weapons. They're a bit tougher than your standard cultists, as you can imagine. And they also have a special rule, Twisted Defense Force. While this unit is within range of an objective marker, each time a ranged weapon targets this unit, models in this unit have the benefit of cover. They're good. They're really, really good. With these, and with the other units after the Felgor Beastmen, you can make a very credible cultist army now from this army list. You also have Felgor Beastmen. Again, how long have people been asking for proper Warhammer 40,000 Beastmen to come back? And now they have. Now they have. And oh god, isn't it good? Isn't it good? They are a lighter unit, that's for sure, but they're bloody excellent. They've got the Scouts special rule, so they make moves before the battle begins. Bestial Raiders. Each time this unit declares a charge, if one or more of the targets of that charge are within range of an objective marker, add 2 to the charge roll. And they're nasty in close combat. You don't really want to get into close combat with them. They're pretty unpleasant. So, yeah, wow. It's absolutely wonderful to see these guys back. And to accompany your Traitor Guard, you've got the Chaos equivalent of a Commissar, the Traitor Enforcer, he even wears like a Commissar's jacket, and he has with him a Traitor Ogryn, a mutant Traitor Ogryn, that gives him, not only acts as his bodyguard, but gives him protection as well. So the ability now to make a full-on cultist or cult-based army from this index is actually really high, and it works. It actually functions as well. Overall, I'd say this is one of the best Chaos Space Marine army lists we've had for years. The 9th Ed Codex was really good. This is really, really, really good. They are one of the contenders in 10th Ed, it seems. Loads of synergies between units, loads of synergies with the characters that can join units. The special rules all synergize really well. It's very good. If this is the standard, if this is the way things are going to go, then count me in. When we come back, my loves, I think we'll take a look at one of the more maligned indices. We'll take a look at the Death Guard. Until then, bye-bye.